That just because they didn't pass that health care bill, Mike Pence broke a tie a week ago tonight that allows states to defund Planned Parenthood. And they are looking to put a rider on the government funding bill that would defund Planned Parenthood. The Democrats have said they would filibuster that and shut down the government, which would be the Democrats' turn to shut down the government. But it may come to pass. So with that kind of introduction, I'm going to introduce Bree.
Thank you. Excuse me. My name is, pardon me, Bree Galbraith Hodge, and I'm the educator for Clallam County for Planned Parenthood. And so that kind of entails a couple of different things. I'm not actually involved in the healthcare side of Planned Parenthood, although I can kind of talk a little bit about our services and certainly talk about our funding streams. But my job is primarily to educate the youth of Clallam County, as well as parents and adults. And so that typically involves schools, mostly 9th grade health classes, asking me to come in and provide health education that's both medically accurate and age appropriate. And so most of probably the last year or so, I've been really getting a lot of requests to speak about gender and gender identity, knowing that that's really become something that's in the news and something that's being talked about. And it also is really exciting that the schools that I've been working with, both in Port Angeles and in Sequim, are starting to value that conversation. And so really seeing some progress, which comparatively to Port Townsend, as some perspective, Clallam County in I think the most recent statistics of maybe between 2012 and 2014 showed that Clallam County had some of the highest teen pregnancy rates in this state. And so we're certainly not quite to the state where Port Townsend is, which is so exciting in terms of teen health care and teen wherewithal to be able to potentially make decisions and have a better support system in their community, knowing that there's such great work being done for women and girls. And so for teens in Clallam County, it's become a bit more of a challenge. There's not as much of a welcome for Planned Parenthood in Clallam County. We've had some backlash before in the past, and certainly still seeing some of that, although with recent budget and political atmosphere, we've seen a lot of support, which is really exciting and very encouraging, both for our patients, for myself, and for the other clinic staff, just to see the outpouring of support and need in our community, that people really do value us. And thank you again for welcoming me here tonight, because it's certainly something that when you're the sort of spokesperson for Planned Parenthood, it can be daunting, depending on where you are, and certainly sometimes not knowing what kind of crowd you're walking into can be a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes. So thank you again. The other part of my education job is to work on grant-funded programs. And so we have both healthcare and federal education grant programs that are funded by funds through the federal government. And that's something that we're always constantly monitoring. We were approved for a grant starting in 2015 that theoretically goes through 2020, although the reality is that grant has to be renewed every year. And so this July, we're really crossing our fingers that on July 1st, the federal education grants that we received are renewed. If not, then the funding that we have to provide education programs in Clallam County will largely be cut, and so that program would then be eliminated. The program is called Linking Families and Teens, and it's a program that is really aimed to help increase communication between parents and their teenagers. It was a program that's written by Planned Parenthood of the Great Northwest and the Hawaiian Islands, which is the affiliate that I'm associated with, and it was something that we're really proud of and really excited to see having quite a bit of positive responses in Port Angeles, where we're currently able to offer the program. It's a 6-hour program on a Saturday, which is kind of asking a lot for some folks to be able to come out on a Saturday for 6 hours. But in the 2 sessions that we've run, both in December and then one this past March, we had record families turn out. In December, we had 40 families sign up, which, for some perspective, for a Planned Parenthood event, that's huge, just huge. And particularly on a Saturday, a couple weeks before Christmas, it was incredible to see the families come together, and it was typically a 9th through 12th grade student and their parent. Some folks had a grandparent there, some folks had an aunt or an uncle, but we spent the day really talking about ways to communicate, how folks prefer to communicate with one another. Teens have their own space where they're able to do activities with each other and kind of role play through accessing resources, which is another really big part of the program, and really teaching them that Planned Parenthood is certainly there, but that there are other ways to access healthcare resources, and to really encourage them to put their healthcare as sort of a top priority in life, because health is important, and it's really important that they are also able to be advocates for their own health care and to make their own decisions. And then adults have a space of their own where they're able to connect with other parents and really talk about what their teens might be going through, knowing that it can be very isolating sometimes to be not only in a rural community, but also to be in a rural community where you might not have the best form of communication with your teen, or be able to communicate with your teen the way you might like to. And so we have various times where families come together throughout the day to share their values with one another and to really talk about the messages that they want to give and receive about sexual health and about healthcare in general. And we've had, again, just a really wonderful response. This past March, just a couple weeks ago, we ran a program and had 20 families sign up. So it was a little bit smaller, but still a really, really great, enthusiastic group. And the feedback that we've gotten from the community, for the most part, has been quite positive. There's, as sort of assumed, there's a little bit of backlash, and that's certainly something that's not unusual. But we've mostly been receiving really positive feedback, really, really great testimonials of parents who will share that before the LIFT program, they were unable to communicate with their teen, or they were really having sort of a clashing of opinions or butting of heads. And after the program, really seeing actual drastic changes in the communication with their teenager, and seeing that they're able to have more open and honest conversations, and really able to share things that they might not have previously been able to share, just for levels of comfort and the ability to use words or ideas that they might not have been able to do. And so we're really excited about the program, and really sort of jumping ahead to a call to action, knowing and sort of being aware of what's happening with the budget procedure, and knowing that that our funding is certainly still being looked at in ways that can be cut, and ways that will certainly affect our programming. And so this particular grant, education, is funded through the Office of Adolescent Health, which is a program that was, excuse me, my brain is a little fuzzy at the moment. It was an office that was founded by President Obama, and that we've been able to benefit from since, gosh, I think 2010, in the ability to get federal education grants to provide specifically family planning services to local communities. And so it's something that we're really, really hoping will continue to be renewed until the grant procedure ends in 2020, knowing full well that the Office of Adolescent Health could actually be cut itself, because it's something that was formed sort of with the intention of putting adolescents' health at the first and foremost of that particular department, and knowing that as we're talking about budgets and things tonight, that it's not always the most or the top priority. So certainly something to be aware of, and let our legislators and Congress people know about that as well. And in terms of actual funding, very similar to Jefferson Health, and that we're funded through federal funding. There's 4 Planned Parenthood affiliates in Washington State. There's Planned Parenthood of the Great Northwest and the Hawaiian Islands, which is based in Seattle. There's Planned Parenthood of Mount Baker, which is up by Bellingham, and there's also 2 on the eastern side of the state. And so those 4 affiliates receive about $29 million in federal funding to pay for those services that we offer, including contraceptives, cancer screenings, STD testing, and other critical family planning services that certainly do not include abortion, but that do provide options counseling, so that folks can understand what their options are and then be able to make the decision for themselves about whether or not to continue a pregnancy. That also includes the education that we provide. Similar to what I mentioned, I have the LIFT program is part of a separate federal education grant, but my schoolwork and work in the juvenile detention center and work with parents in community organizations comes from that same federal funding. In 2015, Washington Planned Parenthood affiliates provided health care to more than 98,000 low-income women and men, and education to many thousands more with federal funds, which includes Medicaid reimbursement, Title X and federal education grants. 87,500 people with $21 million in federal Medicaid funding, which includes Medicaid managed care, fee-for-service, and the Take Charge Family Program, also received benefits and benefited from that funding. More than 10,400 people benefited from the $2.5 million that we received from federal Title X dollars. And 16,600 people, including thousands of at-risk youth, were benefited from the $6 million in federal education grants that we're able to receive, which includes my LIFT program. If Title X funding were cut, the impact on Planned Parenthood would be significant. Title X is a program offered through the federal government which offers preventative health care services to those most in need. This is the only way that many millions of women who have low income or are otherwise uninsured have access to birth control, cancer screenings, STI tests, and other basic care. Title X helps to ensure that more than 4 million people have health care in this country who wouldn't be able to access this without this program. And again, in 2015, Title X provided nearly 800,000 Pap tests, breast exams to 1 million women, nearly 5 million tests for STIs, and nearly 1 million HIV tests. For the majority of women who use Title X, these health visits are their main source of health care, and for many, it's the only health care that they're able to receive. And so there's just kind of a really, really small, very short snapshot of what services look like at Planned Parenthood as well as funding, knowing that the impact would be much, much greater. And I can go into more detail later on, but that's kind of I think a good place to stop.